Hi everyone, my name's Sophie and I'm here to present a paper written by myself, Carolyn Williams-Twynham and Colin Booth titled Readiness for Responsibility, Insights of Implementing BES6001 within the Architecture, Engineering and Construction sectors of the UK. The AEC sectors have a plethora of environmental and ethical impacts due to the nature of building, with extensive manufacturing and processing contributing over 30% of the waste sent to landfill and 50% of the carbon emissions within the UK. There are also increasing stakeholder concerns over the impacts of industry in terms of bribery, welfare and corruption. However, the construction industry also contributes approximately 7% of the UK's GDP. Given this influence, the AEC sectors can play an instrumental role in the successful delivery of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Goals for 2025 within the UK tackle major challenges, including the reduction of waste and carbon footprint and the encouragement of modern procurement aiming to reduce both environmental impacts and increase social sustainability to produce cost-effective and usable buildings. However, this requires transitioning away from traditional methods towards a transversal, modern and multi-dimensional approach to building. Responsible sourcing and supply chain management have emerged as part of the UK's construction strategy as a potential solution to this issue. BES6001 ensures provenance of materials driving sustainability objectives throughout entire supply chains. The BES6001 standard was coined in 2008, yet to date there are only 138 registered companies. Responsible sourcing within the sector also has significant variation. For example, 92% of UK concrete and 90% of UK brick suppliers are certified as being sustainably resourced. So in terms of our research methods, we identified a plethora of literature which investigates the benefits and barriers of responsible sourcing in BES6001. An objectivity-based methodology was utilised for this study. We adopted a quantitative cross-sectional questionnaire survey and an interview with an industry expert as the methods of inquiry. The statements were developed through this and the findings from the literature review and will also be reused within the results and discussion of this research. The data was analysed using Excel and measured using weighted average scores. As the response were quite varied, we also used the beneficial index values which help determine the final rankings. So I'll now move on to the statements which were put together. The literature had various key themes throughout which helped produce the 6 benefits factors shown on the screen. Number 1, competitive advantage and stakeholder pressure. 2, improved processes. 3, company performance. 4, sustainability performance. 5, minimum compliance. And 6, social value. The top ranked benefits were 1, access to clients, stakeholder pressure and competitive advantage. 2, improved processes. And 3, access to credits on sustainability schemes. The barriers were also constructed in the same way. The BRE application process is too difficult or complex. It requires significant effort to undertake. There was costs, both indirect and direct, and employees required significant training to undertake the certification process. The ranking was as follows. BES6001 certification was too difficult and or complex. Employees required significant training and there were significant costs, both direct and indirect. Preconditions for BES6001 accreditation included active CSR policies, with most organisations citing that the uptake to responsible sourcing helped them meet goals within their policies. Companies with previous accreditations, including BES8902, were more likely to achieve better scores on BES6001 and minimum compliance in uptake to schemes such as BREEAM and LEED. The benefits to BES6001 entry were that there was a response to stakeholder opinion, both internal and external. It helped organisations meet and demonstrate minimum compliance, and they gained valuable credits under BREEAM and LEED. Barriers to BES6001 entry was the complexity of the applications, the costs, both direct and indirect, and the training and awareness required to formulate their applications. Lastly, with the alternatives to BES6001. Within the UK, the industry is changing attitudes, and this has led to various sustainability tools. As part of our survey, we asked our participants to reference other sustainability accreditations which they feel beneficial. One made reference to responsible steel. Whilst this only applies to one aspect of the construction supply chain, it must be noted that other areas of the sector could begin to investigate their own standards. However, as BES6001 is governed by the BRE, there remain an impartial third party when managing and assessing the suitability of products, whereas industry-led standards could be seen as biased. Analysis of the findings and observations drawn from the most recently published studies, responses elicited from the industry via the survey in this study, and an interview with the senior member of staff at the BRE, who is responsible for the future of BES6001, permit us to make the following recommendations. 1. A clear, unified and policy-driven approach to responsible sourcing is required. BES6001 is promoted by the UK government, and it would allow the industry to negotiate its place within the global sustainability arenas. The BRE must address the complexity and cost of achieving BES6001 through making the standard more achievable for SMEs by ensuring understanding of existing practices which are beneficial, such as controlling waste, monitoring water and energy usage. 2. BES6001 should be made equally rigorous for all companies and penetrate the market more deeply by producing stronger evident communications on the standard and support for stakeholders. And lastly, further investigation into the successful adoption of BES6001 and the subsequent contribution to the SDGs, with a particular focus on SDG 12, responsible consumption, would be beneficial to validate this research. We would also recommend exploration into the silos within the market, such as contractors, clients and councils. This should also be undertaken to gauge varying opinions depending on the type of stakeholder and their personal motivations.